The next night, I borrowed a floodlight camera from my coworker, one that sent motion alerts to my phone. I installed it above the sliding glass door, positioned to cover the entire backyard. Part of me hoped it would see nothing, that maybe I was imagining it, or that it had just been some animal. But deep down, I already knew I'd see something. That anticipation turned into dread quickly, because at 2:39 a.m. I got a notification. Motion detected. Backyard. When I opened the app, the image nearly slipped from my grasp as every muscle in my body tensed. There he was, my neighbor, the man who always stood outside at night. He was in my backyard, standing no more than 10 feet from my door, eyes locked directly at the camera, arms stiff at his sides. He wasn't pacing this time. He wasn't smoking. He was just there, perfectly still, as if he'd been waiting for recognition. And on the ground in front of him was something worse, a heavy iron hook, rusted and pitted, like something meant for meat or boats. It was half buried in the yard, angled toward my door, as if he'd driven it into the ground and left it. I called the police immediately. The dispatcher was calm but didn't sound overly concerned. When the officers arrived almost 40 minutes later, my neighbor was gone. The backyard was empty, no footprints, nothing. Even the hook was gone. I pulled up the footage again in front of the officers, now trembling, desperate for justification. But the recording was corrupted, static, glitches. The timestamp just blinked over black. They told me there was nothing they could do. No evidence, no crime. As they left, I caught the shorter cop glance toward my neighbor's house, brow furrowed as if he recognized something. But he said nothing. The next week was hell. Every night at 2:37 a.m., the motion alert would go off. But every time I checked my camera feed, it was just static or darkness, save for a single frame. A still of my backyard with a faint silhouette in the far corner, hunched, pale and wrong. It looked nothing like the man I had seen. I stopped sleeping. I stopped eating. I even started hearing whispers through the floor vents, my name repeated in dry, hushed voices. I went to the leasing office to ask who my neighbor was, to at least get a name, but they acted confused. The unit he supposedly lived in? Vacant. Had been for over a year. I went and knocked on the door anyway, ignoring every fiber of my being screaming not to. The windows were covered from the inside with yellowed newspaper, and the mailbox overflowed with old flyers. But I noticed something worse, a strange mark above the door frame carved into the wood, a grid of symbols I couldn't understand, about the size of a human hand. When I touched it, there was heat, gentle at first, then searing. I pulled back and saw a blister rising on my palm. That night, instead of hiding inside, I sat at the edge of my bed, holding the same dull knife, shaking. At exactly 2:37 a.m., the door unlocked. I swear to God I had locked it. The sliding glass door creaked open slowly, inch by inch. No motion light, no sound other than my breath catching and the knife falling from my grip. Something entered, something taller than a man, all shadow and bending limbs, wearing no skin yet stretched in human form. It did not speak. It only stared, and in its gaping maw, behind jagged bone and dripping threads of black sinew, I saw dozens of eyes, my own among them. I woke up the next morning in my bed, unharmed but with a black hook set gently on my chest, as if placed with care. The bedroom window was open. I moved out the same day. I now live in a high-rise in the city, full of light and people. But sometimes, even here, I wake at 2:37 a.m., and the air feels thicker, like something is just outside the door, watching, waiting, familiar.